Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another English class here on Verbling.com. My name is Lisa and I'm one of the English teachers here at Verbling. And in this hour, we're going to be having a reading class. We're going to be reading an article from the New York Times about a lady who is 115 years old, so that's pretty amazing. If you have a reservation for this class, this hour, you can use it now. If you don't and you want to join us, just wait a minute, and when you see the join class button, you can join the class. You can join a class anytime you want here on Verbling if you are a member or if you have some tickets. So you can try it out for free for 7 days if you're not sure what the class is or what we do here on Verbling, but you can do a trial. So hi, Hamid. How are you?
Hi, I'm okay. Did you change your spot?
Yes, I did. I stood up.
Okay.
I'm trying to stand up some more, so I moved to the different place so I can not be sitting down all day because it's not good for me.
I see.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's hard being in front of the computer, 5, 6 hours a day, just for work, not to mention the other stuff I want to do, on the computer. So,
Yes,
yeah.
I see.
Yeah, it's a lot of sitting. Yeah.
And my Verbling chat is not still working.
Yeah, mine isn't either. So we'll just use the group chat. Yeah, I don't know why it's not working. It works on the other side, like, when you're not in the Google Hangouts, you're just on the outside, but it's not working. I don't know
Yes.
why. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. T, hi T. Okay, we have people coming in. Come on in, you guys, and we'll get started here in just a minute. We're going to be reading the article, and I can put the link up for you in the group chat also. It's there. You can open it. So hi, Monica. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Okay, awesome. And did you have a good weekend?
Well, actually, it has rained here, so it was not a very good weekend.
Oh.
A little bit boring.
Yeah. Yeah, you had to stay home all weekend?
Yes, yes. There was supposed to be the carnival parade, but because of the weather, there
Yeah.
wasn't.
Oh, it got canceled. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Bummer. Okay. Hi, T. How are you?
Oh, that's me, maybe.
Well, yeah, it says T, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is your name?
Boogie. You can call me Boogie.
Boogie?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, I'm come from Hungary.
From Hungary. Okay, Boogie. Okay. Awesome. Welcome. All right. And Rafael, you're back.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Is it a holiday today for Carnival?
Yes, until Wednesday.
Until Wednesday. Oh, wow. Okay. Great. All right. Is it pretty noisy over there?
Not so much. Just at least here where I live, there are not too many crowd. It's really quiet. But in the downtown, the party is how can I say, rocking out.
Rocking out. Yeah. Okay. Still days and days of partying. All right. It's fun. Okay. And let's see. Alexi. Hi, Alexi. Welcome.
Hi, Lisa. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Maybe you can see the window out there. It's pretty sunny here today. It's like spring weather. I went for a walk yesterday, and already we have flowers coming up, like daffodils and some lilacs and stuff, and that's pretty unusual for the middle of February. That doesn't usually happen until later, like in March, even April sometimes. So strange weather. Hi, Amparo.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
Good. How was your Sunday?
No, just at home.
Just
But
staying home?
yeah,
You didn't go to the beach or anything?
No, we didn't travel. Just
Okay.
one of my sister traveled today.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But we decided to stay here. A lot of people there, so.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Okay, guys, well, we can go ahead and get started. If some other people join us, that's okay. We'll add them in to the reading. This is an article I got from the New York Times. I found it on Facebook. Somebody shared it, and I think I shared it too because it's pretty interesting. It's called Raw Eggs and No Husband since, that means 1938 there, so 38. Keep her young at 115. Okay, so that's pretty amazing. It's not very often that people live to be 115 years old. So here's a picture of this lady in her home in Italy, and she is the oldest person in Europe and the 5th oldest in the world. So let's read about her. Okay. Let's get started. Raw eggs and no husband since 38. Keep her young at 115. Verbania, Italy. Celebrity came late to Emma Morano. Her routine life, in fact, might have raised barely an eyebrow were it not for the fact that she's managed to hold on to it for so long. At 115 years and nearly 3 months, Ms. Morano is the oldest person in Europe, the 5th oldest in the world, and one of only a handful of people whose lives have straddled 3 centuries. Okay, Bogey, why don't we start with you? You can, the way this works is I read and then you read what I just read, so you can read all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, should I start it or
Yes.
first you?
I just read that part, so then you can read again that part. So the way I do the reading class is sometimes, if it's not too long of an article, I read out loud so people can hear and you can just listen to see if you can understand just by hearing me. Also, you can read along as you're listening to me so you can understand how I pronounce things. And then it's your turn to read. But you read the same thing. So we actually read the article twice together. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So,
You can start with the title.
Raw
Eggs.
Raw eggs and no husband since 38. Keep her young at 115. Verbania, Italy. Celebrity came late to Emma Morano. Her routine life, in fact, might have raised barely an eyebrow, were it not for the fact that she's managed to hold on to it for so long. At 115 years and nearly 3 months, Mrs. Morano is the oldest person in Europe, the 5th oldest in the world, and one of the only handful of people whose lives have straddled 3 countries.
Centuries.
Okay. Centuries. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so, which is kind of weird. 3 centuries. I don't know. 3 centuries. We'll have to talk about that. Yes, into the 1900s. Okay, and so let me go over some words here. Celebrity. That means like fame. So you could have also put the word fame here. You know, being famous or becoming a celebrity came late to her. So it means it happened later in her life. She was not a childhood prodigy or anything like that, but her fame has come because she's been able to live so long. So that's the idea. Her routine life, so her routine just means her day-to-day life, might have raised barely an eyebrow. So to raise an eyebrow means literally, if you raise your eyebrow, it's to say that you're kind of curious about something. You're looking at somebody or something and saying, what does that mean? So her day-to-day life or routine life might have raised barely, means not at all, really. So nobody was really that interested in her life, except for the fact, or if it were not for the fact, that she's managed. To manage means she's been able. She's been able to hold on to it, means her life, to hold on to her life, to live for so long. That's her claim to fame, is that she's very old. And she's the oldest person. And a handful of people, whenever we say a handful of something, it just means you know, like a handful, what you can hold in your hand. So it means a small amount, really, not too many people, just a handful, and whose lives have straddled. To straddle means to cross. So to cross over, you know, if you're born in the 1800s, then you're 19, and then the 2000s, you know, the 2000s. That's the idea there. So in her time, she has watched Italy evolve from a monarchy to a republic that spawned nearly 70 governments in 7 decades, with a 20-year foray into fascism in the middle. She survived 2 world wars and the hardship of their aftermath, years of domestic terrorism, and years of economic prosperity that transformed Italy from an agrarian economy to one of the world's most industrialized nations. On a recent chilly January morning, trussed up in hand-knit shawls next to a warm radiator, she summed up her life simply, 115 years are a lot. That's true. Okay, Raphael.
In her time, she has watched Italy evolve from a monarchy to a republic that spawned nearly 70 governments in 7 decades. With a 20-year foray into fascism in the middle, she survived 2 world wars and the hardship of the aftermath, years of domestic terrorism, and years of economic prosperity that transformed Italy from an agrarian economy to one of the world's most industrialized nations. On a recent chilly January morning, trussed up in a hand-knit shawls next to a warm radiator, she summed up her life simply, 115 years are a lot.
I would agree. All right, so they're describing what she has seen in her many, many years. So she has watched Italy evolve from. So to evolve means, you know, to grow and to change. So they're going from a monarchy, you know, kings and queens and things like that, to a republic in terms of a form of government, a way to rule people that spawned. So it's changed from a monarchy to a republic, and the republic spawned. So to spawn means to give birth to. So the republic gave birth to nearly 70 different governments in 7 decades. So a decade is 10 years, so over 70 years, with a 20-year foray. A foray is like a short journey. So for 20 years, they were under Mussolini with fascism, so in the middle there. So in the middle of those 70 governments, for 20 years, they had fascism as a form of government. And she survived the 2 world wars, that means World War I and World War II, the hardship of the aftermath. Hardship, of course, is what you experience after a war. The aftermath is what, you know, what comes after the war. So when the bombs have already they've bombed all the buildings that are smashed now and destroyed. So that's the aftermath, trying to, you know, the cleaning up after a war, and that's a hardship on people, not having enough food maybe, or a safe place to live, that kind of stuff. So that's a hardship, something that's hard to live through. Years of domestic terrorism. So domestic meaning inside of a country. Instead of foreign, you have domestic. So terrorism within Italy is what they're talking about. And then, of course, some years of economic prosperity, so good times. We call those the good economic times, that transformed, so that changed Italy, and they went from an agrarian economy, which means like a lot of farmers, you know, agriculture, to one of the world's most industrialized nations. So a lot of factories and manufacturing things. And then recently, on a chilly means cold, you know, cold morning, trussed up in hand-knit shawls. Trussed up. So this is the picture that we have of her. So this is a shawl, something that you put over your shoulders to keep yourself warm, and it's hand-knit. It means she knit it by hand herself. She's trussed up, so it means she's just kind of warm. She's keeping warm there. So she's sitting there next to her radiator, which is right there in the picture. That's the radiator for the heating. And she summed up her life simply. To sum up something means to kind of make a summary, to say like one short thing about something. And so she just said it's a lot. Yeah, you can imagine she's seen a lot of things in her days, is how we explain that.
Lisa,
Yes.
what is the difference between a shawl and a scarf?
Okay, a scarf is just something you would put around your your neck, you know, and a shawl is bigger, so it covers more your shoulders and your back.
Okay.
But a scarf just usually covers just around your neck. You might put it over your head, you know, if you want, but it's usually not that big. A shawl is bigger. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So she has it. It covers her arms and her shoulders and her back, that kind of thing, not just her neck area. Okay. All right. So, oh yeah, and I wanted to explain here where it says Ms. So we say MS is Ms. So it's kind of like with a Z, and it means you don't know. Like, you don't know if that person is married or not. So in English, if you don't want your marital status to be considered, you can choose Ms. The other things that you can choose, I'll put them right here, is Miss, which means not married, and Mrs., like this, is married. So if you are, you know, Mrs. whatever, that means you are married and you're taking the name of your husband, your last name, usually. And Miss, you are not married, you're single still, but Ms. means you may or you may not be married. But in this case, she's not married. Okay? All right. And also people use it if maybe they're not married now, but they were married in the past, because really Miss is more like a very young person who's never been married. Okay, Ms. Morano has no doubts about how she made it this long. Her elixir for longevity consists of raw eggs, which she has been eating 3 per day since her teens, when a doctor recommended them to counter anemia. Assuming she has been true to her word, Ms. Morano would have consumed around 100,000 eggs in her lifetime. Give or take 1,000. Cholesterol be damned. She is also convinced that being single for most of her life after an unhappy marriage that ended in 1938 following the death of an infant son has kept her kicking. Separation was rare then, and divorce became legal in Italy only in 1970. She said she had plenty of suitors after that, but never chose another partner. I didn't want to be dominated by anyone, she said. Okay, Rafa.
Miss Morano has no doubts about how she made it this long. Her elixir for longevity consists of raw eggs, which she has been eating 3 per day since her teens, when a doctor recommended them to counter anemia. Assuming she has been true to her word, Miss Morano would have consumed around 100,000 eggs in her lifetime. Give or take 1,000. Cholesterol be damned. She is also convinced that being single for most of her life, after an unhappy marriage that ended in 1938 following the death of an infant son, has kept her kicking. Separation was rare then, and divorce became legal in Italy only in 1970. She said she had plenty of suitors after that, but never chose another partner. I didn't want to be dominated by anyone, she said.
Okay. All right. She has no doubts. So to have a doubt would be you're not sure, but she has no doubts about how she made it this long. So she is completely sure. She knows exactly what helped her live this long. So her elixir, this is like your drink to extend your life. Longevity is how long you live. Your longevity of anything. It could be of a person or, you know, a material object, how long it lasts. Consists of, so it's made of. So she was eating raw eggs. So raw means uncooked. So she didn't eat her eggs. She has been eating 3 per day because her doctor recommended them to counter anemia. So to counter means to in this case, maybe she had anemia, and so to make sure she didn't have it anymore, or to make sure she took care of it. So to counter it means to counteract. Something means to make it so that it either happens or it doesn't happen. So in this case, you don't want to have anemia, so you counter it or you fix it with eating raw eggs, by eating raw eggs. So to counter something, like to go against it, to make it better. That's the idea there. So assuming, if we you know, take her word for it, then she would have consumed, here meaning eaten, so she would have eaten around 100,000 eggs in her lifetime. Cholesterol be damned just means, you know, if you say something be damned, like it doesn't matter. Like forget about the cholesterol. Who cares about cholesterol? Because some people think that eating a lot of eggs is bad for you. But for her, obviously, it was just fine. Okay, she's also convinced, that means she also believes, that being single was what kept her alive. She was in an unhappy marriage, so not very happy, and that marriage ended following. So when you follow something, it means after. So she had an infant son who died, and so that's when she ended the marriage. Has kept her kicking. So to keep on kicking is the expression there. It means to stay alive. So she's convinced that, you know, being single has kept her kicking, has kept her alive for so long. Being separated from your partner was rare. Didn't happen very often then, meaning back in those days. And divorce only became legal in 1970. Plenty of suitors. A suitor is a man who wants to be in a relationship with a woman. So a suitor comes to kind of, you know, dazzle you and to take you out and wants to maybe be your boyfriend and maybe your husband at some point. That's a suitor. Somebody you would date. So a lot of people wanted to date her, but she decided not to choose another partner, and her reason is she didn't want to be dominated by anyone. So dominated means controlled. So she didn't want a husband controlling her. She already had that experience. Okay, gerontologists agree that there is no one key to longevity. You talk to 100 centenarians, you get 100 different stories, said Walter D. Longo, the director of the Longevity Institute at the University of Southern California, whose studies suggest that diet is an important factor in living longer. And there's genetics. We do know that the ability to make it to 110 is heritable. So you have a large increase in chance if you have several people in your family to live to a late age, Dr. Longo said. All right. That's a weird way to say it. Monica.
Gerontologists agree that there is no one key to longevity. You talk to 100 centenarians, you get 100 different stories, said Walter D. Longo, the director of the Longevity Institute of the University of Southern California, whose studies suggest that diet is an important factor in living longer. And there's genetics. We do know that the ability to make it to 110 is heritable. So you have a large increase in chance if you have several people in your family that live to a late age, Dr. Longo said.
Hamid, yeah, I didn't even notice that. Okay, Hamid, that's good eyes there. So a gerontologist is a doctor or a scientist who studies the idea of aging, getting old. And yes, it's pretty funny. His name is Longo. So like he studies long aging people. Okay, that's funny. Longevity. Yes, he studies longevity. Okay, so centenarians. Centenarian is a person who has lived to be 100 years old. That's what we call them. Let's see. There are some studies that suggest that maybe give us the idea that yes, diet is an important factor And when we say a factor in doing something, so in living longer, so if you're paying attention to how that structure is there, important factor in doing something, so living longer. So it makes a difference what you eat, but of course we always have genetics there. So we do know that your ability, whether or not a person can live to 110, is heritable. You can inherit it through the genes of your parents, grandparents, that kind of thing. So you have an increase in chance. So your chances go up, of living a long life if your family, if some people or several people in your family have lived to a late age. That's the idea there. Excuse me, one of Ms. Morano's sisters died just short of 100. Another lived to 102. Remarkably, Ms. Morano still lives alone, shuffling around a tiny two-room apartment surrounded by dusty memories and the vestiges of her more recent fame, including tributes and certificates from officials. Among them, the country's last president commending her resilience. Next to her bed is a small plaque with the numbers 115 in bright blue letters made by children at a local nursery school who hand-delivered the present. They also brought their coughs and sniffles, fretted Rosemarie Santoni, her niece and principal caregiver, who comes by every morning to prepare the day's meals, which consist of the aforementioned eggs, now down to 2 a day, ground meat, soupy pasta, and a banana. Okay, how many?
Remarkably, Miss Morano still lives alone, shuffling around a tiny two-room apartment surrounded by dusty memories and the vestiges of her more recent fame, including tributes and certificates from officials, among them the country's last president commending her resilience. Next to her bed is a small plaque with the numbers 115 in bright blue letters made by children at a local nursery school who hand-delivered the present. They also brought their coughs and sniffles, fretted Rosemarie Santoni, her niece and a principal caregiver who comes by every morning to prepare the day's meals, which consist of the aforementioned eggs, now down to 2 a day, ground meat, soupy pasta, and a banana.
Okay. All right. So this is kind of the evidence or the proof that it is genetic. Her sisters just died, so one just short of, that means she didn't quite make it to 100, so just about to 100, so 99, and then another one lived till she was 102. All right, she lives alone, shuffling around. To shuffle, that's how we describe how older people walk. So they don't really walk with big steps, like normal size steps, but they take little tiny steps, and that's called shuffling. So she shuffles around her tiny two-room apartment, which is surrounded by, so as we can see, she has lots of stuff in her apartment here. So she's surrounded by, that means all the stuff around her. It includes dusty memories. Dusty meaning there's dust on it, meaning that it's old. Memories and vestiges. A vestige is something that comes from another time period. It's like another word is like a relic or a vestige, or just something. It's a word that describes something that's old. So it's like a memory of her recent fame. So these are the things that are vestiges. So her tributes and certificates, so she's gotten from some Italian officials, including the president, who was commending her resilience. So to commend somebody for something means to give them recognition. So you're saying, I commend you for. So you're recognizing that they did something brave or courageous or interesting or helpful, that kind of thing. But she got commended for her resilience, which means if you're resilient, you have the ability to keep going. Even if you suffer some kind of hardship or something, you have resilience. It means you keep living, you keep thriving, you keep going, you don't give up, you don't die, that kind of thing. All right, so she has a small plaque. A plaque is just a piece of wood that usually has something on it. So this piece of wood has the numbers, 115, and it was made by the children at the local nursery school, preschool, we also say nursery school, and they hand delivered it. So they brought it to her house, and her caregiver, who is her niece, her niece is like the daughter of one of her sisters, probably. They brought their coughs and sniffles. So a cough, is, but a sniffle is with your nose. When you're you're gonna need to blow your nose, but you do this instead, like that. That's a sniffle. Okay, so her principal caregiver, the main person who takes care of her, is her niece. And then she gets these aforementioned, means they were mentioned before in the article. And then she has these other things, pasta, banana, and a little bit of meat. A neighbor checks in periodically and is on call for emergencies, but there have not been many. The few times she has been ill, she has refused to set foot in a hospital, even having blood transfusions or stitches done at home, said Carlo Bava, the doctor who has cared for her since she turned 90. Her general health is good, he added. Ms. Morano appears to enjoy her new fame, patiently reviving rote reminiscences for the many strangers who call on her to recount her life and the times she lived in. Her memory, however, evades entire decades. Okay, Amparo.
A neighbor checks in periodically and is on call for emergency, but there have not been many. The few times she has been ill, she has refused to set foot in a hospital, even having blood transfusion or stitches done at home, said Carlo Brava, the doctor who has cared for her since she turned 90. Her general health is good, he added. Ms. Morano appears to enjoy her new fame, patiently reviving rote reminiscences for the many strangers who called on her to recount her life at the time and the times she lived in. Her memory, however, evades entire decades.
Good. So to check in on somebody means you just go and check them out, like check in. Like if you say, I'm going to check in on you tomorrow, it means I'm going to come and see you to see how you're doing. So her neighbor does that. She comes to see her periodically, not every day, so it means now and then. And she's on call for. So if you are on call for somebody, for something, it means that anybody can call you at any time. So in case something happens, then she's there. You can call her in case of an emergency, her neighbor. But there haven't been many emergencies. A few times she has been ill. She has refused. So she says, no, I'm not going to set foot in. That means I'm not going to the hospital. To set foot in a place means to go there. So she refuses to go to the hospital even when she needed a blood transfusion, so to get blood put into you, or stitches. Stitches is what they do when you cut yourself and you need to close your skin up. You get stitches. So those have all been done at home with her doctor, who's cared for her when she was 90, so already 25 years. She's in good health. Let's see. She seems to, or appears to, enjoy her new fame, being a celebrity. She patiently, so with patience, she revives rote reminiscences. So to revive means she basically tells everybody the same story. So rote means when you repeat something over and over again, and a reminiscence is when you remember something. When you reminisce about the past, you tell stories about the past. So patiently she tells people about her life, the past, and she recounts her life. So to recount your life means to tell the stories about your life. So she does this over and over again, but her memory evades. So it means she skips entire decades. So to evade something means to avoid it. So she doesn't want to talk about certain times. Ask her about Mussolini or the world wars or any number of current or past political figures, and she shrugs indifferently. Her recollections are mostly intimate. My sisters and I loved to dance, and we'd run away to the dance hall, and then our mother would come looking for us with a birch stick, she recalled recently. One of 8 children, Ms. Morano was born on November 29, 1899, in Ciriasco, a tiny town in Piedmont, in the same year that Guglielmo Marconi first transmitted a radio signal across the English Channel, and a group of investors founded the Fabbrica Italiana Automobili Torino, or Fiat. Okay, Alexi.
Okay. Ask her about Mussolini or the World Wars or any number of current or past political figures, and she shrugs indifferently. Her recollections are mostly intimate. My sister and I loved to dance, and we'd run away to the dance hall, and then our mother would come looking for us with a birch stick, she recalled recently. One of 8 children, Miss Morano was born on November 29, 1899, in Ciriasco, a tiny town in Piedmont. In the same year, the Guglielmo Marconi first transmitted a radio signal across the England Channel, and a group of investors founded the Fabbrica Italiana Automobili Torino, or Fiat.
Okay, so she doesn't like to remember about the World Wars or Mussolini or other political figures. A political figure is a politician, somebody who is in the political realm of things. And when some people ask her about that, she shrugs. Shrugs means when you lift up your shoulders and you put them down, it's like you're saying, I don't know. So she shrugs indifferently, meaning she doesn't really care. If you are indifferent to something, it means you don't really care that much about it. Her recollection, so her memories, when recollection comes from to recall, so to talk about something that happened in the past, they're mostly intimate, meaning, you know, close to her personal life, her family, her friends, that kind of thing. So she loved to dance. She says we'd, which is we would run away to the dance hall. So as young girls, they liked to go dancing, and their mother would come looking for them. So to come looking for somebody means, you know, you're coming to get them in trouble kind of thing. So she came looking for them with a birch stick. So a birch is a type of a tree, and then a stick would be like a branch from that type of a tree. So they were getting in trouble, I guess. And this is just to show that, you know, she's lived through a lot of things. So even Fiat was invented in the time when she was born, right then, 1899, so a long time ago. She was one of 8 children, so a big family. While still a girl, she moved with her family to Villa do Sola, once an important iron and steel company town. The climate, humid and cold winters, was not congenial to her constitution, so a doctor suggested she move to the nearby environ of Lake Maggiore, which straddles Italy and Switzerland. She chose Verbania, a pretty lakeshore town with a milder climate, where she found a job in a factory making jute sacks. The doctor told me to change air, she said, and I'm still here. Okay, Rafa.
While still a girl, she moved with her family to Villa do Sola, once an important iron and steel company town. The climate, humid and cold winters, was not congenial to her constitution, so a doctor suggested she move to the nearby environs of Lake Maggiore, which straddles Italy and Switzerland. She chose Verbania, a pretty lakeshore town with a middle climate, where she found a job in a factory making jute sacks. The doctor told me to change air, she said. I'm still here. And I'm still here.
All right, so let's see. Important iron and steel company town. A company town just means that a lot of the people in that town work for that company, and the company actually maybe developed the town so that people could come and work for the company. That happens here a lot, or it happened in the past in the United States, where maybe like with mining and oil drilling and that kind of stuff, a company would start up a business there, and then they needed people to come, so they would like create housing and that kind of thing, and so it's called the company town. It was not congenial, so congenial, not pleasant, so it wasn't really good for her constitution. That means like your type of body and the type of person that you are physically, what you can take, kind of thing. So she was told to move to the nearby environs. So environs is in English, environs, it's a French word, but the nearby area. So the area of this lake, which straddles, so to go across, so it's both Italy and Switzerland, that lake. And so she chose this town, which is a lakeshore town. So on the lake, the shore is the part where the land meets the lake shore, and so it had a milder climate. So a milder climate means not too hot, not too cold. It's mild, and so she found a job in a factory making jute sacks. So these would be like perhaps sacks like where you have coffee beans. That would probably be like a jute sack. All right, so she changed, and she's still there. Ms. Morano began to gain fame only when she crossed the 110-year-old milestone and entered into the ever-dwindling ranks of supercentenarians, nearly all of whom are women. She is amused to be the object of interest among researchers from around the world who travel to her bedside because she no longer leaves her home to study her lifestyle and genetics. Okay, Monica.
Miss Morano began to gain fame only when she crossed the 110-year-old milestone and entered into the ever-dwindling ranks of supercentenarians, nearly all of whom are women. She is amused to be the object of interest among researchers from around the world who travel to her bedside because she no longer leaves her home to study her lifestyle and genetics.
Mm-hmm. So to gain fame means to get fame, to become famous. So she only became famous or got that fame after she became 110 years old. So that's a milestone. I guess maybe for some gerontologists, people who study this, living to 100 isn't as fascinating as it used to be. Now people have to live even longer. So a milestone is like a special point that you reach. So you cross a milestone, and then she entered into. So now she's into this group of people, and they call it ever dwindling. So to dwindle means to decrease, to go down. So of course ever dwindling because they die, so they die off. But she's in the ranks of, so in the groups of these supercentenarians. Almost all of them are women, actually. So nearly, that means almost all of them. She is amused, so she thinks it's fun. To be amused means you're having a good time, you think it's fun or funny, and to be the object of interest, to be the person that they are interested in. They travel to her bedside, which means they go to her where she lives because she doesn't leave her house anymore. So they come to talk to her as their part of their studies. She's aware of the privilege of living, said Dr. Baba, who said Ms. Morano had always graciously accepted the aging process and the aches and pains that come with it. He visits her once a month just to check in. If all my patients were like this, he said, I could have spent my days reading newspapers. Okay, Hamid.
She is aware of the privilege of living, said Dr. Bawa, who said Miss Morano had always graciously accepted the aging process and the aches and pains that come with it. He visits her once a month just to check in. If all my patients were like this, he said, I could have spent my days reading newspapers.
Yeah, so she is aware of, that means she recognizes or she knows that she has the privilege of living. To have the privilege of doing something is like the good fortune, the luck. Not everybody has the privilege to be able to live so long. So she's a very lucky person, we could say, and she has always graciously accepted. So to accept something graciously or to do something graciously means with grace. She didn't complain about it. That's what it means. So she accepted the aging process, even though as you age, it's common to have more aches and pains as you get older. So he comes to check in. We say to check in on her. So you have two prepositions there, to check in on her to see how she's doing. And he's just saying if so this is the conditional, if all my patients were like this, I could have. So if you're paying attention to that structure there, that's a good example. I could have spent my days reading newspapers. So he wouldn't have to worry about his patients. He wouldn't have to do too much because they would all be so easy like she has been. Okay, before we discuss, does anybody have questions about any of the words, language, anything was tricky for you? No? Okay, Amparo, so you were mentioning that in Ecuador, what was it, 116 you said? 116?
Yeah, 116.
She was the oldest woman. And so,
yeah,
so what
she
is
already
it?
died.
She just died. Okay, she died, in 2006. Okay. Maria Capovilla. So where is she from? Oh, she was born in Guayaquil.
Every city. Yeah.
So are
she's
you
original.
in the place? Is that the place where people?
No. This
No.
is the valley is called Vilcabamba.
Oh, yeah.
This is another.
Oh, yeah, that's been studied a lot, I think. Yeah. So what is it
Yeah.
about that place that people?
Well, suppose the
No.
water, the food
water.
that they have there, no pollution is supposed to have. Yeah, there are many studies about that, but nobody exactly knows what is the reason people live there. There are people that is, for example, 80 years old and they are still working in like a farmers. They
Yeah.
must be really strong to do that kind of job, but
Yeah.
they can't do it yet. So that is.
Uh-huh.
People said, well, probably they don't drink alcohol or something, but they said no, we do that, but
We drink alcohol.
yeah, we drink alcohol, yes.
Uh-huh.
So it's a mystery that people say that is the water,
Mm-hmm.
like spring water.
Are these people are they a lot of them related to each other? So it's like a couple of big families maybe that have I'm thinking in terms of genetics, like if they all have similar
Yes, I suppose so,
genes.
because it was a small town
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the valley. Nowadays, well, when people know that there are a lot of longevity there, people
Yeah.
was curious and then start just visiting this place. But if you see the map, it's not a big one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose a family started there and then they grow, and all of them must be related in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's really pretty interesting. So my question for you guys is, would you want to live that long, Amparo? Do you want to live to over 100?
If you can't work for yourself to do your things for yourself, it's okay. But if you are going to be like a
Vegetable.
yeah,
Yeah, like not
you
active
cannot
or
do,
anything. Yeah.
yeah, and you are going to be a problem for your relative. I think it's better than just die instead of
Just die.
living
Yeah.
yeah, instead
Yeah.
of living in that way.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Alexei, what about you? Have you known anybody, Alexei, who has lived to 100 or anything?
My grandmother died at age 95 years old.
Oh, okay.
Also.
Yeah.
And I also remember she and
Yeah.
she was born. She was born in the same years in 1899.
Oh wow. Huh.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. Hamid, you just mentioned you wrote something about a lot of people in Turkey born 1119, and then you put two X's. What did you mean?
I put the information who oldest guy in the world, not from Turkey.
Oh, okay. Well, you said because of this status, there are many people that their birthdays are 1119 something in Turkey.
I mean, some when Amparo wrote something,
Okay.
there are some people, and for identical status, some people they don't know their real age.
Oh,
And
yeah, okay. So they put X's because they don't know. Yeah.
yes, I mean the XX means, for example, 19. For example, let's say my real birth date is 1987, for example. But
Yeah.
they can say 1988.
Uh-huh. Right.
So it is a big mistake.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking because that lady's so old and she's one of the oldest ones in the world. Pretty soon we're not going to have anybody alive that was alive in the like 1800s.
Yes, and interesting observation. Generally, ladies live longer than men.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Because I think ladies can share their ideas to others. I mean, they can discharge themselves by speaking or by crying. So they can feel lively their emotions. I mean, generally, the man who feels inside their feelings. So the man, yes, the man cannot share ideas easily.
Oh, so women can express themselves more
Yes,
easily.
easily.
Okay. More easily. Okay. Yeah. Uh-huh. Interesting. Perhaps that's the reason why. Monica, what do you think? Do you have any parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, or something that have lived a long time?
No, actually, my grandma just turned 91 this weekend, but
Oh, wow.
she's still young according to this article. No, but I don't think I would want to live so longer, till 100 years, because naturally your body gets worse, and I don't think it's I don't know. It's difficult to endure to this age.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting with people who when you look at the older people, it's like, I mean, unless you're willing to kill yourself, you just don't die until you die. Even if your body doesn't really work, it's really quite amazing. So, yeah.
Yes, but they ended up sitting on a chair all day long, just watching a TV. I think it's not life.
Not so interesting. Yeah, yeah. Have you heard about this lady since you're in Italy? Have you read about her before? No?
About this one, no, but no, every now and then I read an article of this kind of old people. There are a bunch of over 100 people here in Italy, and we read about them every now and then, yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting that she thinks that it's the raw eggs and not having a husband. That's a funny thing. Yeah, because
I think that 3 eggs a day will kill me.
It's funny because some other studies show that people are healthier I don't know if they live longer, but they're healthier when you have like lots of friends and family, and you have close relationships. But apparently, she was okay not being married, but she did have a big family, so maybe that was maybe she had a good relationship with her sisters and that type of thing. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. Amparo, do you know whether or not the lady, Maria, that lady, was she married long, or? I imagine she outlived her husband, so.
I don't remember. I just remember that picture. When that picture that is on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
About this woman, but I don't remember too much about her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, this one on the Wikipedia right there. Yeah. Well, her husband. She had husband. Two different. Wait. Husband Antonio. Okay, his death. He was 85. So she lived quite a few years after. Many years actually. If he was wow. Yeah, he died in 1949 and she died in 2006. So she was alone for a long time. Yeah. Alexi, you said you don't want to live that long? Is that what you said, Alexi? You said I agree. What were you agreeing with?
I agree with Hamid that the God only knows that how long we will live.
Oh, no one knows. Yeah, not a website, huh, Hamid?
Yes.
It's a real funny website.
It's a funny website.
I highly recommend to everybody.
What if it says you're gonna die next week? That would be terrible.
For example, with a joke, I cannot guarantee for myself for even atto second.
So, how old are you going to live till then? If you're 2067, how old are you going to be?
I will be in my 80s.
You'll be in your 80s. Okay. Yes. Good. Oh, this. So, are they really doing it like on health factors or something like that?
Yes. For example, if you want, you can check yourself in this hangout.
No, thank you.
And interesting observation. Sometimes I share this website to people, and in my observation, generally the ladies are afraid of more than men.
The men are like, yeah, I want to know when I'm gonna die. Oh man, you might worry yourself. You think women worry more?
That is why women live more, because we don't believe.
Yeah. They don't believe in the death clock.
Yeah.
No way. We're just gonna find out when we find out. Yeah. I don't want to know when I'm gonna die. Hamid, would you really want to know?
No.
No.
Because in my religious belief, it is not good idea.
Oh, okay. You're not supposed to know. Yeah. Okay. Well, it is a mystery. We never know.
Yes.
Okay, guys. Thanks for coming to class.
We are going to write down your date, and if we are
checking on you.
Yeah, it is real or not.
We are still in contact, Amparo.
Yeah. But Hamid, don't worry about it though when it's getting close to that day, because it could be wrong, you know.
Yes, I know, and I don't believe that website percent 100. I have many priorities. I have to work for humanity, so I have to leave good things for humanity. And if you remember, for one role-playing lesson, you said to me, you will gain a Nobel Prize in your in 2020.
Okay. All right. Well, let's
I have to study hard.
You better get going. That's right. Okay, you guys. Take care. Thanks for coming to class, guys. I'll see you next time.
Take care. Take
Okay,
care.
thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.